Hey y'all, welcome to this week's episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Truth. It's your girl Naya Angel here with my co-hosts E-Man and Mr. PAT. What's up, fellas?
What up?
What's good? What's good? What's going on out there?
Oh man, we got some great stuff to discuss this week. So we are going to start it off with a very hot topic right now. It's a movie that a lot of us 90s kids, and when I say 90 kids, I mean growing up in the 90s, because those 80s babies rule, baby. Yeah.
80,
87, 87.
84.
But it's the Mortal Kombat movie, fellas. So there's a lot of buzz about this one because a lot of people are like, yeah, I loved it. And a lot of other people are like, what the hell was that? So we're definitely going to jump into that. I think I'm going to go ahead and throw it to my guy, Mr. Eman, and start us off. What say to you, sir?
All right. So I just finished watching Mortal Kombat later today. All right. That movie was not all that great. And as I was watching it, I would say today, finishing it off today, because I watched it last night also too. But it's kind of crazy how Mortal Kombat came out and knowing that most of the lead actors are Asian. So it made me hit this whole thing, this huge thing they had, like Asian hate going on. Then all of a sudden, like Mortal Kombat came out. It was just that's what, struck to me at first when this movie like first came out and whatnot. And I thought it was like really weird. And I thought it was just very interesting. But now going back to the movie, it wasn't even all that great. I would say they did an excellent job with having a lot of characters in there. I would give them that. Kung Lao, they had Jackson there. Sonya was also in the original one also too. Who else they had that really shocked me? Mileena, but they didn't have no katana. They didn't have Johnny Cage. That was the most shocking thing out of the whole movie. Zero Johnny Cage. They did have Goro though, but no Johnny Cage. That was extremely shocking. Like I almost was like, "What? You had Kung Lao?
Where Johnny Cage at?"
I was like, "Where the fuck weird. Johnny Cage is at?"
Weird.
Yeah. They had my man. Oh man, what's that dude? Kano. Oh yeah, Kano was in there too. That was another. Like I was like, damn, they got Kano, but no Johnny Cage. I'm like, damn. And then my man I forget the youngin the dude that Kano was fighting and whatnot. The dude with the mask and whatnot. I keep forgetting his name, but he's a cool character. I just keep forgetting his name. And Shang, I'll give him that. They did an excellent job with actually making them look more like, the character and whatnot. But and Raiden, they did, I feel like they just had a filler for him. But and what made it worse, they didn't even make it like a tournament and whatnot. The Sub-Zero was cool. And I liked, how they did the origin story with like Scorpion and whatnot, towards like, when he died, and then he's living within the sun, then he finally is free finally from hell, and then Scorpion comes out. So that was pretty dope. But like I felt they focused so much on the storyline of the movie. Like it wasn't even about like the tournament. Like these guys about to get ready, they about to like Brussels. But I'm just like, man, you gave us a fighting scene literally almost in like I think like 110 minutes to 120 minutes in the movie. Because I think the movie is 150 minutes long. So I'm like, damn. So the movie is called Mortal Kombat, and it didn't have that much fighting scenes until like the end and whatnot. I give them the whole fatality parts that were really dope. How they tried to make it so cool that they wasn't fighting. So they made all the characters have their fatalities, and they made them have all their cool little, like powers and whatnot, during like, this whole movie. So they made it kind of, somewhat interesting, but it didn't have that Mortal Kombat feel. So you guys took away the biggest thing that the movie's about, just to give us small parts to be like, oh, that's a cool fatality. Oh, that's a cool fatality. But I feel like the director should go fire himself and go look in the mirror how shitty of a project he put out. And anybody else who
fire himself.
Yeah, he needs to fire himself and everything.
Well,
I know that sounds crazy. He should fire his own self. He should put himself in a corner and be like, yo, I need to go back to directing school and go put it out a better film. Like, you need to go fire yourself. I know that sounds crazy, but you need to go fire yourself. Like, I don't have you can't be ruining good movies like this, you know? Like, so how are you going to come up with a sequel now? Like, I don't even know what they're going to do, you know? It seemed like there's supposed to be a sequel, but I don't even know if I want to watch it or not because y'all had no much fighting scenes in there. Y'all just tried to sell us on stuff that's in the video game to be like, oh, this was good. Oh, this was great. But nah, man, go fire yourself, you know? But I'm going to just let my next person who wants to come in and share their thoughts because I feel like if I keep talking, I'm going to just keep telling this dude to just keep firing himself, which he needs to do, by the way. I think a director can fire himself. I think so. Worries. I don't know.
No worries. Understood, sir. All right, Mr. PAT, what say you, sir?
All right. So Mortal Kombat. Well, I'll just say overall, I thought the remake was okay. I'm gonna just say it was okay. I don't think it was terrible. I mean, I've seen terrible. I've seen worse movies. I've seen worse movies than that. So I'm not gonna say it's terrible or atrocious or I'm not gonna go that far. But it wasn't great. It just I was a little underwhelmed, and
the damn right wasn't great.
Just off the one time I watched, I can't say that I was highly impressed. I'll just put it like that. I mean, the fact of the matter is I've been a fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise since the early 90s when the game first came out, just like all of us on here and many other people, many of the 80s babies out there, where we were the 90s kids, we grew up with Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and, all that, everything in the 90s, but not only have I had a few of the games, but I've seen the first two movies, the 90s movies, which the first one I thought was pretty good. The second one was trash. Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
What? Annihilation was actually pretty.
Yeah, that was horrible.
So throughout the end, it got boring. But when Johnny Cage died in the beginning, I think that's what killed the whole movie.
Well, definitely that. But I don't know, the whole movie, it was just, I don't know, it was too all over the place. And yeah, I was not impressed with that movie. The first one, I actually liked the first one, even though I think a strike against that was PG-13, I believe. It wasn't rated R, I know that.
Yeah, it was PG-13.
But of course, it's like, come on, that was supposed to be rated R. But yeah, like I was saying before, so I've seen those movies. I used to watch the cartoon. I don't know if y'all remember the cartoon from back in the day.
Absolutely, that was my jam.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I used to really fuck with the cartoon back then, and just to go back to this movie, this current movie, and why I wasn't highly impressed with it. So as crazy as this might sound, I think the action could have been better. And I know people are gonna hear that and they're gonna be like,
"What action?
What? Like,
what action was?"
Oh, the action that was in there. The action that was in there. Now,
the one the one at the mid end of the movie. That type of action.
Well, there was a little action here. I mean, it was definitely some action throughout, but the action was good by like regular movie standards, but when it comes to Mortal Kombat, like a Mortal Kombat film, the action has to go way beyond whatever the standard is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm glad that the movie was rated R. I think that was a plus. And it left the lane open for the violence to be edgy. However, I think the edginess of the violence could have been pushed a bit harder. That's just me. Like, because some people might see it and they'd be like, hold up, man, hold up, Pat. Like that was pretty violent. You know, they were chopping people's heads off, and you could see people's spinal cords being ripped out, and there was fatalities and shit, which is true. But I just think it kind of had that Hollywood sheen a little bit, which, you know, I think they needed to just keep the violence, just the whole feel of the movie needed to be a little bit more raw and gritty. And I did see that, some of it in this movie, but just not a whole lot of it. The thing is, when I think of violence that pushes the envelope, I think of movies like Raid Redemption. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
Oh shit!
Have y'all ever seen Raid Redemption?
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
I haven't seen it, but I played the video game. There's a video game for it, right?
No, I don't think it's a video game. It's basically an indie martial arts film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those
Oh wait, who's the star of that? Because I've seen so many of those, like the Ip Man films and the Master Z's, and I've watched so many of those, so I might have seen it.
Right? Yeah, you might have. I got to look him up, but he's not very famous. I'll just put it like that.
Okay.
But so Raid Redemption, I know, is, you know, pretty big in the indie martial arts circuit, and that movie right there, I would say part 1 and part 2, but more so part 1. The martial arts in there is just, to me, that's like, I haven't seen anything that really tops that. Like, if you want that raw, gritty, edgy, you know, fighting that really pushes the envelope, that movie is it right there. Raid Redemption, for all the folks out there who aren't aware of it, and for the people who know, because the people who know they know. But that right there. So the violence in those movies and other indie martial arts films are raw, gritty, hyper aggressive, and extremely violent. They're like, basically, when you see these fight scenes, there's no like Hollywood gloss to it. It's just straight raw. And like Mortal Kombat had that a little bit, but I really just think it still had that kind of Hollywood kind of spin to it. And when we talk about the fighting, I think there should have been like more action set pieces, meaning like there should have been more, like the fights should have been longer, a little bit more drawn out. Yeah. Just like E-Man was saying with the tournament, I don't know why they didn't really bring that like the full aspect of that in there, because I know it was mentioned. It was definitely mentioned in there, but like they just didn't bring the full aspect of the tournament in there. So that definitely should have been in there. And speaking of action set piece, so when I think of something that's a long fight scene, see, now we're gonna go back to Batman vs Superman, E-Man's favorite movie. We're gonna go back to that movie, but we're gonna go to that Batman fight scene in the warehouse. That right there, like just the way that fight went and how long it was. Like, I wanted to see like that type of fighting, and like just that the way it was set up. I wanted to see more of that in Mortal Kombat, like that, like something along those lines. And I just wanted to see more of that. I really think Mortal Kombat should have showed more of that. I do like the fact that some of the fatalities were in the movie. That's obviously a great thing, because fatalities are part of Mortal Kombat. So
this is the hardest thing to do while you're playing the fighting game.
Yeah. Some of them, you know, fatalities are hard to do, but you know, it's when you can do it, it's nice to see it. You know, it's definitely a great experience, and you know, and that we got that due to the fact that it's rated R, which is good. So I think that's one of the pluses of the movie. One thing I liked about the original movie from the 90s was that it started off with the original 3 characters from Earthrealm, which was Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage. And we already touched on Johnny Cage. I mean, I wasn't crazy about the fact that he wasn't in the movie. To me, it was just like, why?
Because Johnny Cage is that silly dude who can fight and whip ass, and I wanted him to do the little nutcracker joint to like Goro, because Goro was in the movie,
right?
And he did it in the original joint, so I'd be like, oh yeah, and he'd be
yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. I wasn't crazy about him not being in the movie. Like, I wanted him to be in this movie. Like, so bad. When I watched it, I was just like, why would you not put Johnny Cage?
Right.
Like what?
It's just weird because he's the main character of the thing.
Right. He's one of the main characters. So, you know, because he was in the first game that ever came out in the early 90s. He was in the first movie. You know, I know he got killed in the second movie, Annihilation. But, you know, either which way, he's still a major part. Like, he's still a major character. So I definitely didn't like him not being in there. But even though, you know, there was an Easter egg at the end showing that he'll be in the next movie, I you know, cool, I guess. But, you know, instead we got this Cole Young character, which to me, we didn't really need him. I'll just be honest. Like, I know he was part of the storyline that they were, you know, that they made, but, you know, to me, it's like, we didn't really need him. Like, you know, just y'all could have just thrown Johnny Cage in there and just kind of changed the story up a little bit.
Yes.
You know, to me, like, the dude just didn't really add to the Mortal Kombat story itself. Mm-hmm. But, you know,
I agree. Mm-hmm.
That's neither here nor there. I think we can all agree we would have loved to seen Johnny Cage in the movie.
Absolutely.
You know, and with that being said, I wouldn't have mind if this remake somewhat emulated the 95 movie in regards to starting off with those three characters. Yes, but, you know, that's just me. And, you know, just to end it off, I'll say that one of the pluses of this current movie is that, yes, we did get to see multiple characters. I think that was cool. But here's the thing. When we have all these characters in Mortal Kombat, it's actually going to be hard to make a great movie out of it. And I know it sounds a little contradictory, but the reason I say that is because there just needs to be more character development. I really just think there needs to be more character development, not with every single character, but with like certain key characters. You know, we need to know who some of these people are. We need to get a little bit more depth, I think, because I think one of the problems with this movie is that whoever made it, it's like they assume that everybody is familiar with Mortal Kombat.
That's what it seems.
That's, you know, because this generation today, they're not very familiar with it like we are. You know, we grew up with it, but if this generation today wants to check it out, yeah, they'll watch it, but, you know, they don't really know a whole lot about, like, you know, Jax and like Kabal and Kano.
There goes Kabal, yeah.
You know, like Sub-Zero, and they've heard the names, but
yeah, Kabal is a dope dude.
He's dope. He's dope. He's definitely you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they heard the names before, but, you know, people don't really know the backstories like that unless they're like really heavily invested in the games like that.
That's true.
You know, I just think this movie honestly could have been a little bit longer to bring a little bit more depth to some of these characters, because it's like they're in there. You get bits and pieces, but, you know, you're not really getting a full scope of who some of these people are. It's just the director and everybody else involved with the movie. It's like they're just assuming that everybody already knows, you know, who these characters are and what their motivations are and why they're in the tournament, and, you know, so that's pretty much how I look at it. The movie was okay. It was just okay in my opinion. It wasn't great. Definitely was not great. It wasn't terrible. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, I could watch it again. It's not like one of those movies where I'm just gonna be like, oh well, I can't watch this again. I don't think it was that bad, but yeah, it was just okay. It was really just mediocre in my opinion.
And that's
I'll just say that the movie being rated R was definitely a step in the right direction. I'll say that much. Like that's it. That's where it needs to be rated R, because at least you have more room to take the violence, take it all the way out there. I definitely would like to see more character development in the future movies that they come out with. Yeah, I just need them to push the envelope a little bit more, in regards to everything. Just everything. They just need to push the envelope a bit more.
I still think the director should have fired himself. Like he should look himself in the mirror. Definitely look in the mirror and be like, "Yo, I need to fire myself. I just put out the worst shitty movie out in the world in 2021."
Hold on. Sorry. One real quick. I forgot to say that one thing I did like about this movie was the beginning with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I did like that. At least they got some development. So
I give you that part.
I can say, yeah, I like that part. That was good, but yeah, I forgot to add that in there.
But how crazy would it? Sorry, not Angel.
No, you're fine.
Okay, but how crazy would it have been if Jax wasn't in the movie and Sonya was, or vice versa? That's what I felt when I watched it. I was like, y'all put Jax and Sonya knowing that they're a duo and whatnot. If you watch the first movie, but damn it, y'all just left Johnny Cage. Y'all couldn't even come up with anything to like really put Johnny into the story and whatnot.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's a good point too. So both of you raised great points, but you know me enough to know where I'm going with this. Basura. Okay, it's that simple. So let's talk about Mortal Kombat. So first of all, if we breaking down everything to the bones, right? Sub-Zero carried the shit out of that crappy ass movie. If it wasn't for how cool Sub-Zero was in every scene that he was in, I would not give 2.5 shits about that movie. Okay.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, who the fuck is Cole Young and why should I care? And guess what? I don't. Okay. He was boring as fuck the entire time. They had the opportunity, since they were going with the fact that he was a blood descendant of Scorpion, which by the way, is fucking cool when you think of the concept, if you had to carry it through. All they had to do to carry that through was made it so Scorpion is reincarnated into this dude, right? All they had to do was like, okay, now, or if you ain't even going to reincarnate it into him, because they made it, think about this, they made it so that he is a descendant of the kid that Scorpion left behind. I get it. Okay. But you had the opportunity multiple times to bring Scorpion back by using Cole's body. Okay. It even somewhat alluded that was what was going to happen when it went through the whole, this is how you bring your powers out shit. So first of all, there are multiple grievances I have with this movie. I got a list. So,
you got a list? Oh,
yeah,
damn.
I got a list. So first thing first, how fucking dare you not have Johnny Cage in the movie somewhere, somehow? I'm not saying that Johnny Cage is like the most awesome character ever. I mean, let's keep shit real, right? Most Mortal Kombat game players do not immediately choose Johnny Cage first.
Nope, I choose Liu Kang, but that's just my thing, or Scorpion, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the point even though, because the point is Johnny Cage is a staple of Mortal Kombat. You have a Mortal Kombat movie.
That's agree.
You have Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, Johnny fucking Cage. You make sure those three people are in a Mortal Kombat movie as far as the good side, right?
Absolutely.
And then of course you have your other staples. You have Raiden, you have fucking Kitana, which also wasn't in the movie, right?
I agree.
Which is you have Mileena, bro, but you didn't have.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't like that. They didn't have
That
Kitana.
made no sense.
That definitely made me mad.
No, it doesn't. And I know where they're going, because if you notice, the reason you don't actually see the tournament is because this is supposed to be a precursor to the tournament, a precursor to them gathering all of the warriors that are going to fight in the tournament. Because my guess is that the next movie that come out, you're actually going to see the tournament go through fruition, right? Like Goro and Sub-Zero are going to be back, because notice that in that movie, Shang Tsung says death is just the way to another realm, right? And they kind of turned, right, because he didn't like snatch their souls. They turned into black dust. So my guess is that they're probably going to come back in the next movie, and it's going to come to fruition with like us actually seeing Shao Kahn. Because keep in mind, that's another one they reference, but you didn't actually see in the movie.
Right.
That's actually true.
You didn't give us enough body in this movie in order to be satisfied with the results. Cole Young is whack. It's whack as fuck, okay? He was whack. He was weak. There was so many different things he did. And it was like, bruh, are you serious? The scene where he comes back to the cabin where his wife and daughter is and puts them in imminent danger is fucking stupid. Okay? That's the whole reason they're there, is to keep them out of danger.
What about the scene when Reptile came into play, when he was the actual Reptile?
Yeah, Reptile was cool. Now, Reptile coming into play was cool, right? But again, I feel like most of those scenes where it was before they actually got to Raiden's temple, and I'm going to get into Raiden in a second. Raiden's temple was Kano carrying them with his one-liners, and that's really the only reason that the movie was rated R, because when you think about it, yes, it had some like dope murder scenes in it, like when Kung Lao used his hat to do the fatality when they were in Raiden's temple. Okay, that was John.
That joint was dope.
Yeah, that was dope.
That was the best. That's his favorite thing.
Turn around and kill Kung Lao when he was the second best character that was wrecking shit besides Sub-Zero. They just, my problem with this movie is it's all over the place. You got Raiden, who is thousands of fucking years old. Okay, thousands of years old. And I'm glad that at least they didn't whitewash him, but he's thousands years old, and you got this man looking like he in his 40s or something. I mean, where's the attention to the detail? Let me tell you something.
He ain't had long hair.
He didn't have long hair. There's no grays. There's no indication of his aging whatsoever, besides the fact that he is rated. And then look at Liu Kang. I'm sorry, but Liu Kang is one of the most important characters, if not the most important character in Mortal Kombat, because if you truly stick to the original story, there wasn't a whole bunch of chosen ones. There was a whole bunch of champions, but not a whole bunch of chosen ones. They were reserving the chosen one for Liu Kang. That was the reason why he could have the dragon come out and fatality motherfuckers with the fire dragon. Yep. But then you go and you bring this weak ass Liu Kang into the reintroduction movie of Mortal Kombat. Have you lost your fucking mind?
I agree. That nigga looked like a toothpick on steroids. I repeat, a toothpick on steroids.
Exactly, man. And then the toothpicks. While we're talking about toothpicks, let's talk about Jack's arms before he realizes his powers.
Yeah, that threw me.
That shit was all like, yo. I was like, what the fuck?
Those shit look like little T-Rex arms. Yeah, that's what that shit looked like.
Why did you remind me of E.T. though? It was so weird. He was like, oh my goodness. What happened?
I was watching the movie. I was just like, hold up. Jack's arms can't be like this throughout the whole movie. Fuck that.
It was so whack. Now, the scene in which freaking Sub-Zero rips them off was dope. Okay. And I knew that's where that was going, right? But it just, I don't like, why even do the first set of the arms that were all weak and all of that stuff? You could have put the cool arms on him from the break, and his breakout power is that some extra surge of electricity goes through the arms or some shit. It felt rushed. It felt like they didn't think things through. It felt like what they had the potential to do and what they actually did was way, way, way less just exciting. It was the most appropriate term I can think for this movie is lackluster. This movie was lackluster for Mortal Kombat fans, in my opinion. If you're a true fan of the game, if you're a true fan of the original 95 movie, which was better than this one, and that's saying a lot, because that movie was somewhat sucky, but it was better than this one. If you're a true fan of these movies, you just, and I went to the theater to see it.
Oh, you wouldn't catch me watching that thing.
You went to the theater to see it?
I went to the theater to see it, bro.
It was called HBO Max.
I went
$13.99 a month.
I got HBO Max, but I went to the theater to see it. This was the first movie I went to see in the theater since the pandemic occurred. Because I was so excited. Do you know how pissed I was when I left that movie?
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm like,
I can imagine too. Yeah, I'm like, bitch, give me a refund back.
The best part of that experience was that popcorn, because I had the popcorn where they put the little seasoning on the top. That shit was busting. But the best part of that movie was that popcorn. But yeah, I mean, my rant is coming to an end. Here's my overall view. So overall rating out of 10, 5. And that's because it was a movie about Mortal Kombat characters. Okay.
Damn, you gave him a 5?
Period. Yeah, I'm giving it a 5 because it was a movie about Mortal Kombat characters. Like I'm saying, like if it's absolutely nothing else on at all, and I happen to be in the mood to see Sub-Zero wreck shit, I will watch that movie. Other than that, I do not acknowledge it as an actual Mortal Kombat movie, besides the fact Sub-Zero was in there wrecking shit. Okay. And then go ahead, I'm sorry.
You said you wouldn't acknowledge the movie. I thought me telling the director firing him was bad.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not acknowledging that as a mortal. Okay, let me put it this way. When you compare it to the other movies that have came out about video games, like that shitty ass Max Payne movie with Mark Wahlberg.
That shit was a waste too.
I've never seen that.
It was horrid. It was horrible.
Well, video game movies in general, and basically movies based on video games is really hard to do anyway.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. When you talk about that Max Payne movie with Mark Wahlberg or that shitty ass Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, all of the Mortal Kombat movies are better than either one of those. Right?
You know what's funny about that movie though? Like when back then, when it first came out, because I believe it came out in 1994, if I remember correctly.
94.
You know, we were all little back then. I was really excited.
Me too.
Back then when I saw it, I was excited for it to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember liking it back then, but watching it now as an adult, and I think I've seen it maybe a couple years ago or so. But when you watch it as an adult, you just see how corny it is. Like you just see how like it's bad. Like it's just really bad. Like, damn, did I really like this when I was little? Like
it really is that bad. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying compared. Now, don't get me wrong. Compared to that Street Fighter movie and that fucking Max Payne movie, all the Mortal Kombat movies have been much better.
Yeah,
but I'm going to tell you the best one that I've seen. The best one that I've seen is the animated movie Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. Have y'all seen that one?
Yeah,
What you talking about? Yep. Oh my goodness. I watched that joint like 15 times.
Yes. And see, that's where I thought that one was going to go, right? Because, you know, in that one, Sub-Zero does kill his family, but you find out it's not really Sub-Zero, right? That is Quan Chi instead.
Yeah.
So they could have even gone there with this movie and it would have been significantly better. This movie was just thrown together. It was, for the most part, some dope scenes within a failed attempt to bring luster back to this movie series. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be excited to see the second one. I am going to be excited to see the second one, not just because it's alluded to Johnny Cage at the end of this one, but because I'm actually excited to see some of the other characters that were missing from this one. Yeah. Kitana, Johnny Cage, Shao Kahn. We're actually going to get to like see a broader range of characters in this. Hopefully more of actual Scorpion, because we only saw actual Scorpion in the last couple of minutes of the movie, besides when he was just himself earlier in the fight scenes. So I'm super excited about all of that. So I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be excited to watch the second one, but yeah, this one, let me take a sip so I can say this clearly. Basura.
So before we go to the next topic, I would say, yeah, the director he still needs to fire himself though. But with the whole like character development, I'll give him if he puts Ermac, Nightwolf, Baraka, could he put Kabal in there? Baraka, and let me get one more good one, a good one.
They alluded to Nightwolf too, because they showed a picture of what looked like a Native American tribesman on that wall Sonya was keeping.
Yep, that's what I thought when I first saw it. I was like, "Oh, that's Nightwolf."
or Rain and whatnot. Then I'll be like, "Okay, you got a few good ninjas out there and whatnot."
Well, and see, here's the thing, because of course we all know that Mortal Kombat has a ton of characters. Like I wouldn't want to watch a movie where it's just overwhelmed with too many characters, and then of course you lose the storyline. And that's the thing. This is why I think character development is so important with the key characters, because of course everybody can't get character development, because then this movie is gonna be. I mean, you're gonna need 6 movies for that. You're gonna need like 6 or 7 movies, or you're gonna need a movie that's like 6 hours. So it's hard to develop all these characters, but they just have to find a way to do it. I think if they could find a really dope way to introduce all these other characters, great. But it's hard. It's very tricky. Because remember, this movie is based on a video game, which already, as we've already said before, is tricky enough to even make a good movie out of that. So. I'm cool with seeing some of these characters, but they got to find a way to make it make sense. And
yeah, exactly.
They have to, because
by putting out this trash. The trash man don't come every freaking day to be removing this trash off our screens. This is baloney. They had people all excited. I bought fucking movie tickets.
Yeah, that's
okay.
But the thing that got me. If you wanted to make it make sense, how in the hell is Luke? I don't get it. How do you have one of the most characters that don't even get mentioned? How do you have Kung Lao and no Johnny Cage? How do you have Kabal?
They thought it was going to be exciting to give the Johnny Cage Easter egg, right? They thought that would be like enough to be like, for people to be like, ooh, I can't wait for the next one. And I mean, to a certain extent, it does make you want to see the next one, because you want to see, who Johnny Cage is going to be and etc. But Johnny Cage alone, like that was the only Easter egg they gave, even though there was no mention of Katana in that movie.
Right.
She's another major character, and she should have at least been mentioned. I mean, you see photos or images or drawings or hieroglyphs of Shao Kahn, so he's a part of the story, right? Not to mention Shang Tsung references him a few times, but there is no mention of Katana.
That's true. I don't even know. Like I said, he should just fire himself. That's what he needs to do. He needs to go fill out his own pink slip and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go fire myself.
Well, keep in mind too, though, just to play the devil advocate here a little bit, and I know we need to move on to the next thing, but the director rarely has an extreme amount of say in the screenwriting, unless, I'm not going to say that about casting, because directors have put their influence over casting so often. Look at Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro. Those two love each other, right? Or Martin Scorsese and Al Pacino. There are so many movies with those actors and those directors. However, a lot of the times with actors who don't have, directors who don't have those big names like that, they're not necessarily able to really influence the production company about the script, right? And sometimes they're just directing a script that was provided to them. However, in this particular case, I agree with you that the director, just some of the scenes, the way they were put together. For instance, that scene where Cole Young is in the fucking barn or whatever, and he's looking to fight Goro. Okay, so here's the thing. You already are not Scorpion. You're basically lame because they've alluded multiple times in the movie that you're going into fights knowing you're going to lose for $200 motherfucking dollars. Okay. It never dawns on him for 1 second that he is absolutely able to be much more than what he was doing at that moment, to even try to power up or level up so he could beat this huge ass motherfucking monster that's about to kill him, his daughter, and his wife. Like, he doesn't even attempt. He's just so lame. Like, when you think about Kung Lao and Liu Kang, when Shang Tsung shows up there, they're like, oh, no, motherfucker, you ain't just going to walk up in our shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, right, they're ready to go. They're ready. Gumption.
Yep.
So, anyway, I ranted. I apologize.
No, you good.
Are you good?
You guys, that was coming though.
No, I mean, it was going to come.
Where you coming from?
I mean, I feel where you come. Like I said, it was going to happen. It was going to happen because it. Man, I don't even know. You know what? I feel like the more I keep talking, I feel like I just want to give him a pimp slap and be like, bitch, you just fucked up the whole damn shit, man. Y'all can't do nothing right no more, man.
No, I understand, man. Well, the good part is we definitely have some other juicy subjects to discuss. So
that's true.
Moving on, fellas. Let's talk about the brilliant teacher, okay, who thought that it was a great idea to put her foot on top of one of her Black students' neck last week. Now, let's keep in mind, this is all in lieu of the Derek Chauvin trial and everything else going on, okay, regarding that, with him being convicted and etc. It was the exact same fucking day, okay? The exact same day when this occurred. All right.
That is true. That is true.
And just for those who don't know, this was a teacher in Greenville, Texas, okay, which is northeast of Dallas, okay, and there is video footage of her putting her foot on one of her Black students' necks. Now, to give you all a little bit of context, the article that we will, again, we share links, but you all are more than welcome and encouraged to do your own research. But the article that I'm referencing says this, just so you all have a good understanding of what we're talking about. The Lamar Elementary teacher in Greenville, northeast of Dallas, whose photo drew outrage from the 10-year-old student's father and school administrators, said that she used the photo as a mock threat when the student failed to turn in a homework assignment. The teacher, who was not named, was immediately suspended after she texted the photo to the boy's mother on Tuesday, the same day Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of the murder of George Floyd, who died after Chauvin placed his foot on his neck for 9 minutes. So according to this article, okay, it says she sent the photo to the boy's mom because this was meant to be a joke. Okay, so just so our listeners know what's going on here. So we threw Mortal Kombat to E-Man, Mr. PAT. I'm going to throw this one off to you, sir, to start us off. What say you, sir?
So I'll just say that I think the teacher should be fired. The fact is,
she resigned. Sorry, I didn't read that part. She
resigned. So she did. So she resigned. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
That doesn't mean she got fired. That just basically she means she walked away from her job.
She quit basically. Okay. So if she didn't quit, I would say she should be fired. But okay, so she resigned. Good. That was a good decision. I mean, the fact is, this teacher, she thought it was okay to put her foot on this boy's neck. I mean, that in and of itself speaks volumes. A white female teacher putting her foot on a black boy's neck. There's really nothing to justify this. I mean, it's wrong. We all know it's wrong. This right here, I mean, it's pretty simple and straightforward for me. It's really simple and straightforward. Obviously, so she wasn't fired. We heard that she was suspended, and then I'm hearing now that she resigned. Cool. It's like, hopefully she won't work at another school, but who knows? She'll go off and do something else. But it's just the fact that she thought it was okay to put her foot on her black student's neck. So imagine what else she would do to another black child, or what she might have done in the past to another black child. I mean, when I hear stuff like this, it just makes me think like, what else has she done that was not on camera, that nobody took a picture of or recorded or whatever? Because the thing is, what we see in the media obviously is stuff that's recorded, whether it's a picture or a video. But we also have to remember that there are incidents that happen and there's no camera that's present. So that when I hear of incidents like these, that's what I think about. Like, man, I wonder what the fuck's going on when there's nobody around to take a picture or to record. I mean, like I said, it's simple. She did this at a time where the nation witnessed a cop who murdered a black man by kneeling on his neck get convicted. And, it's just, she's a school teacher and that she's doing this. And her being a school teacher, one could assume that she's not a dumb person. She's got to be somewhat educated. And I mean, in order for her to become a school teacher, I mean, I'm sure somebody could argue that with me. Like I say, there are school teachers who are just dumb. I mean, but let's just say
there's a lot of school teachers who are not as educated. I could see that. And I mean, there are people in that field who aren't very intelligent. I'll say that. I mean, any profession really.
That was a very good answer right there.
Any profession. I mean, really, there's always people who will slip slip through in the cracks, who aren't very intelligent or educated or whatever. There's always people who get in for whatever reason. But let's just assume that she's not a dumb person. I'm gonna assume that she's aware of what took place back in May 2020, which was George Floyd being murdered by Derek Chauvin. And I'm sure she would have been aware of what the implications of what she did to this boy could be, with her putting her foot on his neck. She even went as far as to take a picture of what she did. And from what I read, she texted it to the boy's mother. So this white woman was bold enough to not only put her foot on this black boy's neck, but then to text the picture to his mother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
according to the article, it was supposed to be a joke between the two of them. I
don't know if I buy that, but I mean, yeah, according to the article, yeah, it says that. But this, unfortunately, the black boy is not in control of the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
He's a victim in all this, so
exactly.
they can say whatever they want to spin.
And the father clearly wasn't having it. Clearly.
Well, yeah, I don't blame him at all.
I don't blame him at all.
I don't blame him. But to me, it just shows that the teacher didn't give a damn. Like she just didn't give a damn. I mean, the thing is, it really just makes you sit back and think, like, what teacher says to themselves that they will put their foot on a black boy's neck, take a picture, and then send that picture to the child's mother? Like that's just fucking crazy to me, thinking about it. But we know who would do that. A racist would do that. That's who would do that. Somebody who's a racist. And clearly this person's a closet racist, because they probably aren't outward with their racism, but they had this I guess we can even call this a microaggression, because for her to even think about putting her foot on a black boy's neck, and to actually do it, that just says a lot right there. I mean, she's acting out how she really feels, so we're just gonna call her what she is, a racist. That's all I really have to say on the matter.
Understood. Yes, sir. All right, Mr. E-Man, what say you, sir?
All right. So before I start, let me ask like this question to, my fellow mates on, about this. Just by saying this, do you guys feel comfortable about someone basically putting their foot on your neck? Right? Do you think
absolutely not?
Absolutely not, right?
Oh no.
No.
Especially not my child's neck either.
I'm sure not my
yeah. So now here comes the, I might even call this the burning question, but how in the fuck do you think this is a joke? Like if I would ask 100 people, and I'm gonna pull it up like we're gonna do it in Family Feud. If I asked 100 people and we took a survey, how I guarantee 100% of them would say that I do not like a foot on my neck and whatnot at all. So what makes you think
as a joke, especially
as a joke?
Yeah, that's not even a joke.
That's not a joke
at all.
Now we have a child that just got victimized and whatnot. Victimized because this teacher, who's supposed to be the adult, put a foot on a child's neck, didn't have the nerve to take a picture of it and send it to his mother. What will make you think to do something like that? That is beyond the most craziest shit I've ever heard that happened in school. This takes everything up. Like this woman just exceeded like a whole new level of crazy and whatnot. She's not even crazy. She's not even beyond crazy. She just like, I need a new word for crazy because she just did something that just made no damn sense at all. No sense at all. Especially it happened to a child. So I don't even, and the reason why I'm saying I'm passionate about this, I'm an educator, all right? And I've been an educator for quite some time. And I've never heard anything like this ever fucking before or whatnot. And at the result of all this, thinking it as a joke, she resigned. She's not even in jail. She's not even like, no, I don't even know if charges should definitely be pressed and whatnot. But, excuse me. But I do not know what else to say if the right people ain't really going to do nothing about it. Because I can speak up and keep speaking, and I feel like nothing will change. But I hope in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to give it, if I'm not hearing that this woman is not at least being like charged with some type of record, like some type of engagement to a child, to a minor. I'll say minor and whatnot. A minor. That's how you guys call it in your law. A minor. Or something towards like, like, because this takes the cake. Like this, she gonna done something that you just crossed the line and you just can't come back from it, Like once like if you draw a middle line and you told someone not to cross that line, and then when you finally crossed it, you done something that crazy. I can't, and deranged. There you go. Just mentally deranged, because I don't get what made you feel that was right, not just in that moment, right at all. And then the nerve to call it was a joke.
Well, it's because she's racist. I mean, let's just say it simple and plain. And it just made me think also, would she have done this if this was a white boy? If this was a white kid, I guarantee she would not have done that. But she did this to a black boy. And what I was also thinking is, let's just say, even if this was quote unquote a joke, and let's say the black boy was in on it and he was like, yeah, look, cool, let's do this. Let me lay on the ground and you go ahead and put your foot on my neck. Let's just have a little joke, have a little fun. Okay, let's just pretend that that's what occurred. Where the fuck was her sense? Where was her common sense? Where was her logic? Where was her morality even, I would say? Where was her morality to say, hold on. I can't do that. This is going to look bad. I can't do that.
No different than those cases where a white person puts on blackface and then try to act like they're innocent and they don't know what the big issue is.
Okay, the reality of it is,
yeah.
During the Chauvin trial, of all the fucking things going on in this country, and I'm sorry, I know it's not my turn yet, but it's just boiling in me. Of all the fucking things going on in this country right now, Derek Chauvin trial being one of them, where he has just been convicted for executing George Floyd, because that's what he did. Okay, that's what we watched, an execution with George Floyd. For executing George Floyd in that manner, for her to do that on the exact same day, no one's gonna fucking convince me that race didn't have a part of this. What she thought was that it would be innocent enough if she sends it to the mom that she can get away with that shit. I don't give a fuck about her sending it to the mom or not. She was 100% in the wrong. First of all, She should have been fired, not had the ability to resign. There's nothing to investigate or review.
Yep, you said it
Once they
perfectly.
saw that video and asked
true.
that teacher, "Is this your foot?" and she said yes, the next word should have been, "You're fired. Get the fuck out my school."
Yep, that's
okay?
it. Yep, I agree totally.
Period. Period.
Yeah, she shouldn't even.
That mom should have went to the school and stomped the mom. There is no fucking way that anybody is going to put their foot on my child's neck, joke or otherwise, and not catch these hands. And I'm a professional.
Oh, absolutely.
She definitely resort on that by you. You know what I'm saying?
I rarely resort to violence. But let me tell you the one subject where you got me fucked up on if you think you're going to play with me. It's with my child.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm the same way. You know,
I mean, I'm definitely the same.
You don't mess with a
You don't. I tell everyone.
You don't mess with people's children.
You don't. And this is the thing. Period. And just to share this with everyone, you know, because me being educated, I've worked with kids like for a very long time, and I tell everyone, you know, it's like the biggest blessing that you know that a lot of parents entrust us, you know, to take just very well care of their children and also educate them the best way we can. You know, it's like a big blessing. And I tell everyone, you give us a huge job, you know, to supervise your child and also teach them and give them, you know, some good basis of what they need to do, become better, you know, better people throughout society as they get older and whatnot. But yet we are the less paid and whatnot. But it's a very respectable thing to do when you become an educator. And shit like this pisses me off because there are a lot of amazing educators out here that do what they need to do. But then you have some of these bad bunches who do stupid shit like this and everything and make not all of us look bad. It just makes it, you know, it makes people want to be in this profession like look so down upon. And I don't know how she even got the power to resign. How? This is the same shit I keep talking about all these school districts and all these, like, you know, all these different communities. They keep pissing me off about silly shit like this, you know? Like it seems like as a whole community, it seems like we need to start asking more about not just what the fuck's going on, but a situation like this. I feel like a lot of people should be losing their jobs. Principal themselves, like a whole lot of people, because at the end of the day, a young boy just got victimized. He might not know he just got victimized, but he got victimized and whatnot. You know, that I don't know how far that video circulated towards the internet, but like that's the shit that bothers me every day. You know,
was it a video? Was it a video or a photo?
I believe that it was an actual video. I think.
Okay, because I just saw the photo.
The video of them recording.
No, it's a photo. It's a photo.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because I was like, I saw a photo.
My bad. No, sorry. I just got the passion just kicked in me and whatnot. Now I'm acting crazy. No. But it's just crazy. And I can't believe I hope that if we can reach out to this mother and hopefully get her information, because I just feel she needs to push this as big as she can. Like, make sure, you know.
Well, it seems like, and this is just my perspective on the few different articles that I've read about this case, the mother, from what I've seen, hasn't been very articulate about what's going on here. She hasn't, as far as I've seen, and I've read 3 or 4 different articles about it thus far, it is the father that is outraged. The mom was who the teacher sent the photo too. And I'm not saying that the mother doesn't have any issues with this. I don't know how that woman does or does not feel. What I'm saying is the way that the articles read is as though the mom was the person who was sent the photo, but it's the father who has been the most vocal about his disdain for the situation.
Thank
Just
you.
throwing that out there.
This is why we always have to make sure, we got to make sure that all the fathers out there, you know, we have the most hardest job to do, and we still get the least respect out of everything. And it's nothing against mothers, but we get the least respect out of everything. You know, we feel that we're less of majority of the time, not all the time, but majority of the time. But that go sit here and basically run shit hell in that county to the state and however you can push it and everything, because that couldn't be my child. That couldn't be my child. I just tell everybody like that. That just couldn't be my child. Because for me,
sure couldn't be my child.
I'm telling you like this. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna be over there like the Incredible Hulk, breaking shit in that building until you got motherfucking like 15 people pulling me out that damn building. You know, I'm gonna be incredible. Like Bruce Banner ain't got shit on me. I'm letting y'all know this right now.
Why did that remind me of King Kong ain't got shit on me?
Raymond Day.
So I'm just
classic Denzel.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So this woman. I can't believe the shit they let this shit out. I cannot believe that principal needs to be let go. They need to probably get rid of the whole administration out of that damn school and whatnot. They all need to lose their jobs, because that is by far the most sick thing in the world. You know, because this basically means that this could probably happen again, and they're probably not going to do anything about it and whatnot. I don't live in Texas, you know. I don't know too much of the demographic, but you know, and I don't live down south. I've lived in down south for a little bit. I lived in, you know, Alabama for a year, and I had tasted a little bit of the south, but I have not just by hearing this, you know.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah. So I've already pretty much said how I feel, but I'll just tie this one off for us. And I'm sorry, E-Man, were you done, sir?
I'm just out of breath, you know.
Okay.
I'm just out of breath.
No worries. I understand the passion behind this. So let me just put it to you this way. For me, this case is very simple, right? It's an open and shut case. She was not only wrong for her actions, it was an act of racism. Okay, because no one's going to convince me that it was a coincidence that of all the fucking days of that week that she decided to do that very joke, a quote unquote joke. I'm throwing up my fake quotation marks, right? The same day that Derek Chauvin is convicted for doing what? Applying pressure to George Floyd's neck. No one's going to convince me that that was a coincidence and that this was not race motivated. She had to know that what she was doing was not only inappropriate for a teacher, but also fucking ridiculous from the standpoint of race. It's just that simple. Even if it wasn't the day of the Derek Chauvin trial, why would you as a white person think it is any kind of a joking matter to physically put your hands on a child, especially a Black child? Get the fuck out of here. No one's going to convince me that it was a joke. Okay. I don't give a fuck about what they were investigating. There's nothing to investigate. When they saw a photo of a teacher with her foot on a student's neck, she should have been fired in that moment. There's nothing to investigate. It's very simple. Miss Smith, is this your foot on this student's neck? Yes. Okay. Pack your shit. Get the fuck out my school. It's that simple. That's all it is to it. There's nothing to investigate. I'm tired of the we were investigating situation. You can't, there's nothing to investigate there. If she admits that was her foot, once she admits that was her foot, it doesn't matter what else your investigation pulls up. She crossed the line in that situation. So the whole school system and her being able to resign is bullshit. Second of all, I want to brought up on charges. That's assault. She assaulted that child. It's that simple. There's no fucking reason, and I think that's the way the father is going. Again, the only reason I'm not saying the mother, I'm not accusing this woman of not being upset about the situation. I do not know how she reacted to the photo. I'm not saying she wasn't upset. However, as I've said, what I've seen in most of the articles I've read is the father has been vocal about this. I hope to the universe that he takes that bitch to court and files charges for assault against his son. Yep. Because otherwise, if it was me, they're either filing assault charges against her for what she did to my son, or they filing assault charges against me for what the fuck I'm gonna do to her.
I agree.
Somebody catching some assault charges somewhere.
Yeah, I might have to just call you just to handle it because
somebody catching some assault charges somewhere. But at the end of the day, is to wrap this up, because this is really a very simple matter for me. She was out of line. The act was racist. She assaulted a child. The parents need to seek justice. If I were the parents, I would probably seek justice criminally and monetarily. And as far as I'm concerned, if she ever is allowed to be a teacher anywhere else, because this is definitely a situation where, at minimum, the state of Texas school board, needs to make sure she can never be a teacher in this state. I know that is difficult to see done across the world, across the U.S., because there is not like a connected school board system, right? It's not like how you see in movies.
Everything's based state to state.
Exactly, right? Cop movies and FBI movies, you be seeing shit like they can log into each other's database and pull up in. That's bullshit too. Same thing is the same with this school system. It's not like it's connected one school board system. However, I hope that at minimum she's never allowed to teach again in the state of Texas, at least. And hopefully she's brought up on child charges and no school system gives her a fucking license to teach again. But I do just want to say one quick thing to something you mentioned earlier, E-Man, about educators. In my opinion, besides doctors and the militaries, our biggest grievance is not properly paying educators. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there is one teacher who I will never, ever forget because of the impact this man had on me, as well as some of my fellow classmates. And his name was Mr. Cochran. Mr. Cochran was
shit! Are you talking about Mr. Cochran at Gatesburg Elementary School?
Yes, and he taught at Gatesburg Elementary School for a long time. Yes. Let me tell you something about
him. Man, that's the dude. I had him as a fifth grade teacher and whatnot.
Yeah, me too. Dope. Me too. He was one of the most influential teachers that I had ever met, because you could tell, you could actually see it in him that he was invested in seeing his students do well. I remember watching Mr. Cochran. Still, like, I would go, because you all know where Gatesburg Elementary School is located versus the middle school, right? It got the field in between it.
Yep.
I would remember leaving Gatesburg Middle School and still seeing Mr. Cochran at the elementary school out there on that court playing basketball with some of my classmates. Like, he was invested in his students living good lives outside of that school. You know what I mean? At least apparently. And so I just wanted to say, Iman, that I think that educators, especially ones that are dedicated, right? Because just like in any profession, you get those ones who basically reading off a syllabus and an agenda, and they're going to give your kids some fucking worksheets, and they might go up there once a quarter and write something on the chalkboard, and that's it. Right? Just like with every profession, you have that. But that is not often the case in the education field. right? Often people are going into this knowing that they're not going to make a lot of money because they have that passion. So I just wanted to make clear that you definitely have my support. I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
And to all the good teachers and educators
All
out
the
there,
good teachers out
thank
there.
you. Exactly. Thank you for wielding our children and for being respectful enough to be someone who influences our children positively. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate it. I really do. Because the reason why I asked for this story, to be part of the podcast, because the simple fact was this one hurt a lot. I read a lot of different stories about all different things about educators around in the US. But this one right here hurt me the most. And I had to make sure that I had to go make sure that bitch gets checked. Oh, yes. She ain't a hoe. She's a bitch and whatnot. With my DMX voice out this show. She's a bitch and whatnot. A bitch.
Bruh.
Oh, yeah. A racist bitch.
A racist bitch. Yeah. She don't want it from me. That's just letting her know. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I cannot with you tonight. Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, fellas. Unless anyone has anything else there, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that up and move on to our next subject, which is an interesting and kind of funny one in my opinion. And that's talking about Mr. LeBron James and the fact that recently a Cincinnati bar owner has decided that he is not going to broadcast any NBA games. So not just LeBron games. Let me make this clear, okay? It's not just LA games he's not going to broadcast. He's not going to broadcast any NBA games at his bar until LeBron James is out of the league.
Damn.
Yawn.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what he says. So I want to go ahead and get you all's thoughts on this. I'm sorry for laughing, but I just think that's funny. You realize how pissed you have to be to ban the whole damn leagues thing because of one play. But anyway, we went ahead and threw that last one to Mr. PAT. So we're going to switch it over and throw it to E-Man. What say you, sir?
All right, so this is how I'm starting it off. How my man Ludacris said, use a hoe, use a hoe. Oh! I said that use the hoe. Oh, yes, my man, you are a hoe for this one. I'm sorry, but yeah, I had to call him out on this one. You is a hoe, and for you to ban all the games. I get Mr. LeBrick is not all that great. I mean, that's cool. I get it, but damn, every single game, man. Like, do you know, like, you at a bar and you in an Ohio bar, to put it like that, and we talking about, basketball, they got plenty of games going on.
Exactly.
And you ain't got much to work with, man. Sunday, you got NFL, you can squeeze in a basketball game here and there. You might be got college on Saturday, but what you gonna do? What you gonna do after after fucking February when there's no more college football and there ain't no more NFL and whatnot? What you about to do, man? You about to just not play NBA games because of LeBrick and whatnot? I mean, there's not that much UFC going on. I mean, baseball ain't hitting probably until late March and April, so you got a whole month to figure out what you're going to have on television, my man. Boxing ain't, amateur boxing's on Friday, but we ain't got that many boxing matches. So I don't know, brother. You need to get your whole life together and whatnot. Not whole, but whole, you need to get that whole thing together because you ain't making sense. Because your patron's going to be like, yo, let me put a basketball game. No, I ain't going to put it on because, I hate LeBrick. You know, he just got to leave the league and whatnot. I'm like, oh no. His page gonna be like, what are you talking about, man? I just want to watch a basketball game. Then he's replying like, nah, you can just leave my bar. I'm like, man, how you gonna sit there and lose money over you mad of a player you ain't gonna never meet, man? Get your life together. If you don't want the Lakers games on, so be it. There's other 20 some odd teams that you can go and get them to watch and whatnot. But to ban all the NBA because of LeBrick, man, fool, go take your whole ass and go think about your life somewhere, man. I don't know, man. People do stupid things, and at this point, you're doing a stupid thing. You own one of the biggest, like, restaurant / venue types where most people go to enjoy some type of space with a little bit of food and maybe a few drinks and whatnot, you know? And you hate LeBrick and waiting for him to get out the league? Newsflash, brother, he gonna be in the league for like maybe another 5-7 years. But I'm not I'm not a big fan of LeBron James. I'm not. But if you want to watch your Lakers game, so be it. I can live without not watching them. I'll be all right. There's other teams over there. You know, I'll be good. But brother, you need to reevaluate your whole-ish life and get your whole ass together. And boom. Next, please. Next, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I said a whole lot of hoes over there.
I feel you. Mr. PAT, what say you, sir?
All right.
E-Man was in that one. He was passionate about that one, sir.
Yeah, he was.
I'm sorry.
Calling LeBron LeBrick.
Yeah, he's a brick. To me,
Right.
he's a brick.
Oh,
everybody else call him LeBron. I call him the brick.
Oh man, well, LeBron's cool with me. I'll just put it like that.
Saying that's my dude.
Yeah, LeBron's cool with me. But of course, they're on the podcast, the good, the bad, and the truth. We all have different, views and opinions.
Absolutely.
So that's just how it goes. But so apparently LeBron, I'm gonna call him by his name, LeBron, tweeted to his nearly 50 million Twitter followers, quote, "You're next." It had an emoji and the hashtag accountability next to the picture of Nicholas Raiden. That was the officer who killed Micaiah Bryant. Now, according to the article I read this from, and we'll put the link in the description, LeBron deleted the tweet because it said it was being used to create more hate. And that's in quotes. The owner of this Cincinnati bar, in my opinion, is overreacting. Straight up. He's overreacting. I think LeBron's intention most likely wasn't to incite violence. I mean, LeBron did put up the hashtag accountability. So, in other words, he was saying that Nicholas Raiden would be the next cop to be held accountable. That's really all that he said, or what I think he meant from what he said. I highly doubt that LeBron would jeopardize his career by inciting violence against a police officer. I can't see LeBron doing that. He's not dumb enough to put his career in jeopardy like that. I mean, whoever...
Because that's what's happening. You're correct. He did it.
Yeah, pretty much. And, the thing is, whoever owns that bar want to show any NBA games, but I think it's silly. It's just really fucking silly.
It's dumb as hell.
Yeah, it's dumb as hell. It's just silly as fuck. And honestly, I'm sure a lot of people don't give a shit. I don't think a lot of people care. I think people heard it and they're just like, all right, dude, whatever.
Think it's funny.
Yeah, I think it's funny. We all think it's funny. It's a joke. Like, it's a fucking joke. I mean, if people want to watch an NBA game bad enough, they'll either just stay home or they'll go to another bar.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really that simple.
Exactly, dog.
Really
Like,
that simple.
oh no, one bar.
One fucking bar. Oh, okay, fine. I'll go to this other bar. And guess what?
One of the other million fucking bars in this city.
Right. And guess what? Now this bar, this guy right here, he's losing business. He's really just hurting his own business.
Exactly.
So, hey, you want to lose business like that? Cool. That's on you. I mean, I doubt that he would get a significant number of people to really even get behind, I guess his refusal or his stance, whatever that is. But at the end of the day, LeBron James will be LeBron James, and LeBron James will still be playing in the NBA. This right here does not hurt him one bit. It's not hurting LeBron James. It's not hurting the NBA. Really, this dude is just hurting himself, and he's hurting his business. That's what's really taking the hit right here. Because as we have just stated, I mean, this bar is just one in many. I mean, there's millions of other bars out there. What makes this particular bar so important that people are gonna go along? Like, if somebody really wants to watch an NBA game, like I said before, they'll stay home or they'll go to another bar. It's really just, 1 + 1 is 2. It's just that simple. So, I just think this whole thing's a joke, because the food and the drinks can't be all that great to the point where people are even going to listen to this guy. I mean, why would people even listen to what his I guess request is in terms of LeBron being expelled from the league? That's not going to happen. So you're just dreaming. It's not going to happen. LeBron isn't about to get expelled from the league because of you being butthurt. Because that's really what it is. It's him being butthurt. So yeah, dude, like, nobody wants to hear this shit, man. Like, this has no significance at all. Like, for real, like, whoever this owner is, like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Nobody wants to hear this shit. Nobody wants to hear about how you refuse to play NBA games at your little fucking bar or whatever. I'm just being real. Like, nobody wants to hear this shit. This shit is just funny. It's a joke. That's all I have to say on that.
Figure out what is he gonna do.
Listen.
from mid-February to the end of March. There's not much sports going on, bruh.
Well, it's already April, so I'm not sure that he's too worried about that, E-Man, because it's already going on May. But my thing is
you got baseball,
I feel you. My thing is, this shit is comical to me. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be
very comical
about it, but he's a fucking idiot. The only person that this affects at all is him. It's his business. Agree. He's losing business by not having basketball games. First of all, he's going to lose business off the principle that black people are not going to fuck with him just because he tried to be this petty and for no reason. It's completely unwarranted. So here is my thing. First things first, I'm actually a huge LeBron James fan. I happen to think that not only is he obviously an excellent basketball player, but LeBron James is one of the most decent human beings that I have seen thus far. You have yet to hear of a cheating scandal with him in his marriage. And I'm not saying that the man is perfect. He's a human being, right? But I just think he's a stellar example of what we could hope for as far as celebrities and their morality. He's done a lot for not only his city, but, his state as far as the school systems and etc. He just generally seems to me, and again, I've never met him personally, but this is the feeling that I get from him, is that he seems to be an upstanding dude. And
that's why I like him too. He seems like a real upstanding dude.
Yeah, he really does. And so my thing is, his tweet
He's not a great
where
basketball
he's
player. I'm
talking
just
about
saying.
accountability, and you both know what my MO is, right? Is accountability. I 100% stand with LeBron on that, because we're going to get into the Micaiah Bryant story, and that's going to be the last topic we discuss, and tragedy. You know, I don't want to say story lightly. It definitely is a tragedy, but the reality of the matter is he had absolutely every right to tweet whatever he felt, and it wasn't inciting violence, because he did not say go find this cop and knock their head off. He said the cop was going to be held accountable for their actions. There is nothing about that tweet that was inappropriate in any way, and honestly, I don't know if I was LeBron if I would have taken it down unless I found something that made me change my mind about it. But other than that, what this owner is doing is just basically what is the terminology I'm looking for here when you do something that causes harm to yourself, like the fucking idiot he is? He's basically self-sabotaging. Yeah, he's sabotaging his own fucking business. Why would you not show any NBA game because you're upset with LeBron James? Do you think the NBA gives a fuck? Do you think the NBA is going to say, I know what we'll do? We'll take one of the most electric superstars we've ever had, and we'll just expel him from the league so that little Billy's fucking silly ass bar at the end of the street can continue to play NBA games. Shut the fuck up. No one cares, dude. You sound
make it make sense.
You sound
right. Nobody cares.
No,
you know what that reminds me of? I don't know if you guys have ever seen this scene, but in the movie Step Brothers with Will Ferrell, when they go and do the interview, and they're trying to talk through the Pam situation, and she keeps trying to explain her name is Pam, and they keep saying, "Hush, shut up, you sound stupid." That's what I want to say to this. Shut the fuck up. You sound stupid.
Oh man,
he sounds stupid. I'm not gonna play any NBA. I can't even get through this segment without laughing so much. I apologize. I'm not going to play any NBA games until LeBron James is expelled. Dude, shut the fuck up.
I don't know what he's going to, like I said, halfway February, all the way in March. Man, you're going to have a blunt. His screen probably going to be blunt. And don't even try to cop out and be like, oh yeah, you know, the NCAA tournament's on. I'm like, fool, that's like mid-March and whatnot. So then you basically got like 4.5 weeks of like no television on. Like, why do people like hurting themselves? Like, make it make sense. And I don't know, man. I feel like, you know how I went back and, I talked about the director of the new Mortal Kombat movie needs to fire himself. I feel like this dude needs to go sit in a corner and put himself in timeout. That's what I think he needs to do. I think he needs a timeout.
I agree.
I feel like he needs to be treated like a child. And
he need to put himself
you need to go in timeout, mister.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, dude, just go sit in the fucking corner. Just go sit in the fucking corner right now.
And go figure out your life right now, man.
If I was his wife, I'd be like, you gonna do what? You said you're gonna do what? You're not going to play any NBA. Go sit the fuck down somewhere. Yes, we are too. If I was his wife, I would walk into the bar and turn all the goddamn channels to NBA games. Matter of fact, we're playing NBA games for the rest of this fucking season.
Right.
This bar gonna be on an NBA game, asshole. That's what I would do if I was his wife.
Put them in the corner and be like, yo, go reevaluate your lives, man.
Like, just go to the corner, turn around, look at the wall, and just be quiet.
You know what? It's his wife. If he's married, I have the biggest grievance, because every once in a while, as a wife, you have a responsibility to say, baby, you're tripping, right?
Yeah, that's true. A wife has to, she's gonna have to step in and be like, you tripping right now.
The wife, you gotta be like, baby. You always got to be on their side in public, even though in this case, I don't know. I might have been sitting there with that, I don't know, face. But every once in a while, you just gotta come out and be like, babe, can we have a quick chat? You realize that we're gonna fucking play NBA games, right? Because otherwise we're just hurting our business. I mean,
Oh my God, man. I think his wife must be the most. She probably sitting over there like, nigga, what in the fuck did you just say?
I hope she not just willingly sitting by watching her husband make a fool of himself. Because I
hope
at the end
not.
of the day, that she got to take part of that ill, and if she doing that, because anyway.
You can't take that L, young. Look, I'm gonna tell her like this. This would be the last thing I say. If you take that L and whatnot, you're gonna wonder why. Be like, why in the fuck did I made this nigga in the first place? Then you're gonna sit and be like, you know what? I just need to slap him like 4 times and be like, don't you ever say something like that ever again. And if you do, nigga, I ain't giving you shit in the bedroom. And leave it as that. You know, you might need to put up a threat because who's this stupid to run? You run a bar. And I already stated why people go to bars. But fool, don't take your feelings out your ass. Play those damn games, sell your damn beers. Keep it that simple, man.
Yeah, you tripping.
Keep it that simple.
Yeah, he chirping. Like like I said, if his wife is of sound mind and body, and she hasn't said, "Baby, you're going a little too far with this one," then she needs to evaluate herself. He damn sure needs to evaluate himself. If I was LeBron James, I would have done. Oh, by the way, that was another point that I meant to bring up about this situation. LeBron James actually clapped back at the bar owner.
He did.
He actually retweeted and he was like, "Oh damn, I was headed there to watch our game tonight and have a drink." Well,
right. I saw that.
Right. Right.
Well,
and that's why I love James, because I love me some LeBron, because he's so like, that's exactly how I would have approached the situation. Like, really, bro, who gives a fuck?
Nick, now he definitely needs to be in the corner. You let LeBrick play you like that, man? Yeah.
Oh, why you keep doing my man like that?
Go in the corner. Go in the corner.
Why you keep doing my man like that, man?
Hey, I'm sorry. Just to let everybody know, I am not a LeBrick James fan. Just letting you guys know that.
I think we kind of deduced that.
Yeah, we heard that. We heard you on that.
Yes, we got that message loud and clear, sir. but and to each their own. Again, as Pat was saying earlier, that's the beauty of this podcast, is that we each represent our individual opinions, and to each their own. So with that being said,
Ron's cool with me.
Yeah, right. Me too. Same. With that being said, I'm going to move on to the last subject, and this is definitely a tough one. That conversation about LeBron and the situation that happened with the owner is actually related to this case, which is the Micaiah Bryant case, and she is the 16-year-old young lady who tragically lost her life last week when a police officer shot and killed her. And let's make sure that we give the appropriate details. So I'm going to go ahead and read what is specifically listed in the article, and this is from People magazine. So authorities continue to investigate the killing of Micaiah Bryant, a 16-year-old Black girl who was fatally shot by a police officer in Columbus, Ohio, while she appeared to be lunging at another female with a knife. Graphic officer-worn body camera video released by Columbus police showed the altercation that preceded Micaiah's fatal shooting, which allegedly erupted between 3 young women in the midst of an argument over housekeeping chores at the foster home they shared. In the video, Micaiah is seen holding a knife and shoving a female who falls backward on the ground toward the officer. Micaiah then appears to threaten the female on the ground with the knife. As she does so, the officer produces and points a gun. As Micaiah appears to turn toward a second female she has pinned against the car, lunging again with the knife at the second female, the officer pulled the trigger and Micaiah was shot 4 times. So that is the first paragraph of the People's article. And again, we will share the link. I am going to go ahead and throw this to Mr. E-Man. What say you, sir?
All right. So, I mean, I don't have too much to say on this topic, but my first thing was, why couldn't you just use a taser? You know, using a gun, and I actually saw the video. I saw the video, and I'm looking at this video, and I'm like, yo, you're using a gun around a lot of people, you know, and you know, when you fire a handgun and you let that, like, once you fire it off, and when that clip fires back, you know, when the shell casing, like, and you're shooting at that close range, you know, you can. I'm surprised he didn't hit, you know, the innocent, the other woman that she was lunging with the knife. So it was, seeing everything didn't make sense, making that decision, you know, why he would pull a gun out. A taser would make sense, because I think, I've never used a taser before, but I do know you can actually crank up the voltage on a taser, you know, and the individual only had a knife, you know. It's not like she had a gun, she had a knife, you know. I mean, you definitely, if you would have taser, I guarantee the knife would have just fell out of her hand, you know. And I feel like the situation could have just be handled a lot easier. But you know, you shot a 16-year-old girl like 4 times, bro. That's something you can't come back from, you know. And I don't even know, you know, I feel like there's going to be more and more to this story. You know, there's going to be a whole lot more to this story. But it's very crazy that, you know, just by looking at whatever the video they gave us, he didn't even make an attempt to use his taser, you know, at all, you know, at all, you know. He didn't even try to at least calm down the situation, you know. Because when I first saw the first girl fly down on the ground, you know, he's not even trying to, like, you know, try to, you know, cease the situation. Based upon what I read, they told me it was a butter knife. Looking at the video, it didn't look like a butter knife to me. That thing looked pretty dull at the end, but it looked like one of those big, like, knives that's pretty dull at the end. But it looks like, you know, if she would have actually stabbed, it would have, you know, it probably would have went through. And it's very puzzling now, you know, to have what you call people, what's the word I'm looking for? The officer of the law, you know, the people who are supposedly supposed to protect and serve. And, you know, the first thing you can think about, you know, is pulling out a gun, especially on a young black girl, you know, and not even try to cease the situation. You know, didn't even pull out his tape. I don't think he wanted to pull out his tape. I think he clearly knew and stated that he really was going to kill her and whatnot. But there was a lot of people around for him to pull off. Say if that officer missed, say if he missed and actually hit the standby girl who was supposed to, like, that standby girl and whatnot, you know, then you have another situation on your hands. You know, I don't think he thought all the way through what he was doing. I think when he got there, he just felt like, you know, this is the only one option that we're going to do. And he went by it. I would say, sir, you're in hell of water for what you did, and knowing you can't come back from it. And I don't know if they got you on administrative leave. And the reason why I say that, because that's the term this is the term that the media uses and whatnot, based upon how you police department handle your issues and whatnot. That's been like the whole new thing now. It's not about people getting fired anymore or forcing them to resign. It's all about administrative leave, and then they go to court, and then that's when they lose everything else. But it's a pretty sad day, and it didn't have to go down like that. It just didn't. But it's just a lot. I feel like what needs to change is, officers really thinking about when it comes to a situation, think about what you do rather than reacting what you need to do. Because I've seen videos around officers overseas, and they don't rarely even use a gun. They actually use nightsticks and tasers to take down anybody. And I've seen and the ones who say if they use the only time they're using a gun unless the assailant has a weapon with them, an actual gun that is pointed at them. Every video I've seen, the assailant don't even have a weapon at all, not even pointed at the officer, and even go back to what we talked about last week about that officer who who's going that crazy over that military guy for no reason. It was that same situation, but that situation, the military guy didn't get killed. But in this situation now, a 16-year-old girl lost her life, and I don't even know what else more to say, because it seems like this is going to be another revolving door and it's not going to keep. No matter how much we talk about it, it seems like many of these people are not going to change any decisions that they make towards actually thinking about what you need to do. Because I tell everyone, for every gain, there's a consequence, and every action that you put out, there are big consequences on many decisions that you make and whatnot. So there's something that you can gain, and there's something there's gonna be a loss at the end of the day. In this situation, nothing was gained, so he lost a whole lot. And I don't know what's gonna happen to that officer. I don't even know. And we'll see when the story keeps developing, because it's very, very interesting how an officer would pull his gun out that close. Like, if you watch the video, you can see how close everybody was. Like, he shot pretty close and everything like that. Like, pretty close. So that means I'm glad nobody else got hurt out of the whole situation, because it could have gotten really crazy and really nasty based upon what I saw. And I'm going to just leave it as that, I'm just leave it as that.
Understood, sir. Absolutely. Mr. PAT, what say you, sir?
What I'll say is, before I get into what I'm going to say, everyone just bear with me. I'm going to try not to let this be too long-winded. What I want to say is, first and foremost, what happened to Micaiah Bryant. I want to make sure I'm saying her name correctly. Micaiah Bryant. What happened to her was very tragic. What took place in Columbus, Ohio on April 20th was very tragic. Micaiah Bryant, like so many other Black female and male victims of police brutality, did not deserve to have her life taken away. I just want to make that clear. I just really want to make that loud and clear. She was a 16-year-old girl, a 16-year-old like all other 16-year-olds who have a whole life ahead of them. Unfortunately, Micaiah Bryant isn't here to gain the life experience necessary to fully grow and mature as a human being. That was taken away from her by the police officer who shot her. I mean, if we have to ask who is at fault for her death, the answer is easy. the system is at fault. The police officer himself, he is at fault, but I say the system as a whole, especially since this particular police officer and many other police officers are trained by this system, a system that devalues Black life. So I say the system is at fault, but the fact of the matter is we could point fingers all day, but unfortunately that won't bring back her life. That won't bring her back to life. So the fact is there was an altercation that took place outside of her home, and she was caught with a knife in her hand about to stab someone. This was on camera. Now, I watched the video. At first, I didn't, because I'll be honest with you guys and everyone else out there who's listening. When I hear about these incidents, I don't even want to watch the videos. I don't want to really read the articles.
Me either.
I really just don't want to watch this stuff because it's just, there's too many videos out there. It's just too much. And it just puts you in a bad headspace, and it puts you in bad spirits. And I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. So when I hear about this stuff, I just
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I just try not to even really give my time and energy to it. But the fact that we speak on this stuff in our podcast, which is an extension of media, which is part of media, I feel it is my duty to get the facts, to make sure that I'm reading as much information as possible, and if there is a video, yeah, I'll have to check the video out just to make sure that I know what happened and I can at least speak to that aspect.
I agree.
So yeah, so I watched the video. Now, and I'm not going by hearsay, but what myself and others saw on camera, for the ones who watched, because of course there's a lot of talk out there about what happened, and you know, this happened, that happened, and you get like different bits and pieces and different stories. But to my understanding, the cop was called to the house to defuse the situation. When he got there, he got out of the car and he seemed confused about all of the fighting that was taking place. Next thing you know, Micaiah and the girl in the pink end up fighting by the car. And Micaiah has a knife in her hand. And I'm telling you what I saw. She had the knife in her hand and she's about to stab the girl in the pink. After that, she has the knife in her hand and she's like in mid swing about to stab this other girl. That's when the cop shoots her. The cop shoots her four times. Micaiah, she was the one who called the cops, but the cop who shot her didn't know who was who. He just saw a girl with a knife about to stab another girl. Now, this in no way excuses what he did. However, he met deadly force with deadly force.
Whoa. So
I think,
not to cut you off here. So what you're telling me, that the one who had the knife called the police?
Yes, Micaiah Bryant, she was the one who called the police. Mm-hmm. Because the girls that were there apparently were trying to jump her or see, this is one of the stories I'm hearing. Right. So she felt like her life was in danger. She called the police, and yeah, so she was the one who called.
Oh man.
So, but like I said, this in no way excuses what he did.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But see what happened is he met deadly force with deadly force.
See. Mm-hmm.
And that's how cops are trained. They're trained to meet deadly force.
Makes perfect sense.
With deadly force. Now, I think shooting her 4 times was excessive. I mean,
that's what's going to be my point.
It was
highly excessive.
That's going to be my point.
I highly doubt he would have shot a white girl 4 times, if at all.
It's not even necessary when you think about it, because the point is to de-escalate the threat, right? He could have shot her one, and I'm going to elaborate further on my point. Sorry, Pat, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but he could have shot her once in the leg, once in the arm, and immobilized her.
Right, and I'll get to that, and see that's one of my things with this incident. Basically, because I'm hearing what you're saying, and I've heard other people say, he should have used the taser, or he should have shot her in the leg, or he should have shot her in the arm. But the thing is, cops are trained to shoot mass areas. We might not all agree on them doing that. Maybe they shouldn't do that all the time. And if somebody were to say that, I would agree. I think it would be better if they could just shoot a leg or an arm and just, immobilize them, shoot not to kill. That's the ideal thing that I think we all want. But the thing is, they're not trained to do that. They're trained to shoot mass areas, because the thing is, and this is from my understanding, shooting an arm or a leg or a smaller part of the body is risky, because they risk missing and hitting a bystander. And the thing with tasers also is tasers actually are known to not be as effective, as people have made them out to be. The thing with tasers is
why in the fuck do they have them then?
Right. No, and the thing is, it's 50-50, because there's times when it can work, and then there's times where it might not work. So that's like,
let's get some damn good money and get better tasers and whatnot. They can get better cars, but you can't buy more equipment.
No, trust me, I agree. But and to my understanding, tasers are more of a up close, like more closer range. They're not really for long range. I think that's where the risk comes in with those, because if you try to shoot those at long range, you really just have, you don't know if you'll even hit the target, really. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you could, and then sometimes you might not, but they're not willing to take that chance. The thing is, when they meet deadly force, whatever that deadly force is, whether they see somebody attacking somebody with a gun or a knife or whatever, or if somebody's bringing deadly force their way, they have to shoot to kill. Like, they have to shoot a mass area, because you want to hit, you want to get that clear shot. You want to make sure you hit your target.
Yes, but he was shooting in the vicinity of other girls. So
right.
By that principle alone, he could have missed Micaiah.
That's true.
Once he
was really close.
Right. And that's true. And that actually goes into the point of, like, let's say he did try to shoot her leg or her arm. There's a chance he could have missed, and he could have hit the other girl, for example.
But he could have missed with the 4 shots that hit Micaiah.
That's true. He definitely could have missed.
That's the thing.
And this isn't to make excuses for the cop, but
not making excuses.
This is, let me just make it clear
completely.
But like, the thing is, it just makes me wonder, like, I guess, like, if like you're in that situation, like, how would you respond in such a, because that's a crazy situation right there. Like, how would a person respond in that moment to ensure that Micaiah lived and the girl that she was about to stab lived? Like, how would the person make sure that both of these girls live at the end of the day? Because from what I saw on that camera, somebody was going to die that day. And if it wasn't Micaiah from being shot by this cop, it was going to be that other girl from being stabbed, because if you look at like her swing, I'm talking about Micaiah, like with the knife. I mean, she was gonna take the other girl out, and you know, it's just one of those things where somebody would have ended up dead, and yeah, we could say that Micaiah, she would have lived, which she deserved to live that day. She didn't deserve to be shot. Like that just, you know, it's just a crazy situation all around. And I wish there was another way that the cop could have diffused the situation. Like if there's any other way, some other way that somebody knows about, you know, hey, I'm all ears. But you know, when you look at it, when you look at the camera and you see what's going on, it's like, man, how do you diffuse something like that, you know, without risking the life of others or you know, it's just crazy when you think about it. I mean, and the thing is, I know that there have been many times when cops have responded to white people who have been armed and dangerous, much different to black people who are unarmed. Trust me, I know this. I've seen the videos, and you see some of these white folks threaten cops with guns, knives, you name it. And the cops that they threatened hesitated to kill these people, and those were the times where they really should have murked these people, like just took them out completely. The answer to that is simple, though. White life is more valued than black life. I mean, I know this. We all know this. That's just the law of the land in this country. I mean, if anyone has followed me for over a decade, you already know I've been talking about the system of white supremacy. So I understand. I mean, my platform's been about that. So, you know, I know the deal. It's just that in this case, this is one of those cases that shows a cop shooting a girl who's about to stab another girl. And these were two black girls. So he shot one and killed one while saving the life of the other. Now
that's what I thought. He shot. So sorry to cut you off, PAT, but he did also slightly hit the same girl that, you know, Micaiah, the one who had the knife, the one he killed. He also hit the other girl also too, right?
No, he didn't. He didn't hit her. He hit Micaiah only. He shot Micaiah, and
that's what I thought.
Yeah, she was the only one that was hit. So
yeah, I'm actually going to speak on that, and when it's my turn.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. But so what I was saying is there were two black girls. He shot one and killed one while saving the life of the other. Now, I wish that Micaiah's life wasn't taken, and I do wish that there was another way to diffuse the situation. But I think most people could agree with me on this, and I know this will be probably a controversial thing to say. Had their child been on the receiving end of that knife, they would have been relieved that the cops saved their child's life. I mean, it's fucked up circumstances in the way which it would be done. But I think if anybody's child was on the receiving end of that knife, they would have been thankful for what the cop did to save their child's life. It's unfortunate that it had to come at the cost of another black life. But I mean, the thing is, a knife is a deadly weapon. And I mean, when it's in full swing, it could kill someone. If the cop didn't react, like I said before, Micaiah would have been alive, which, yeah, that's what we all wanted. But then she would be in prison for murder. This is just a terrible situation all around. And from what I saw, it was just going to end bad no matter what. It was just going to end bad, you know, because let's say the cop didn't kill her. She just would have ended up going to prison for murder or something like that. Because you know, once you stab somebody, especially if you stab them in a vital area, that you could kill them. You could kill that person. But it's just tragic, this whole situation. And yeah, it's just tragic all around. And like I said before, I wish there was another way it could have been handled. But from looking at that video, I guess there's just a question mark in my head of what would have been the best way to do that, where all parties were safe, would have ended up being safe and living to talk about it the next day. That's my whole thing.
Absolutely understandable, sir. So actually, PAT, believe it or not, you and I are right along the same lines on this topic. I want to start off by sending my condolences to the Bryant family. Losing anyone is difficult. Losing a child, I can't imagine. I know she was in a foster home, but it doesn't mean that there aren't family members who could, who are not reeling from this loss. And I agree that it was a tragedy. I will say this. Do I believe that there was a possibility, because of the distinct fact that the officer was able to get 4 perfect shots into her chest, that without hitting any of the other girls who were in extremely close vicinity to her, that he could have taken her down without killing her? I do. But do I believe that the cop should be punished, for instance, like should be brought up on charges or fired? No, I think he did his job. And it's an unfortunate situation. If you look at it from the perspective of the cop, it's not like the dispatch said, hey, you're arriving on scene where the girl that's wielding the knife that's about to stab the other girl is the girl who called the police officer, the police take extreme caution and etc. Keep in mind, the only details that those police officers get is you have whatever the code number is occurring at the location of the address, and people are reporting someone bearing a weapon. Okay, that's what the cops receive when they take these calls.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that it's an excuse for this police officer. I am not saying that. And it is tragic and sad that Micaiah is gone. But when you look at the overall situation here, I do believe that his intent was to prevent that girl from being stabbed, not to kill a innocent Black girl. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the cop's intent. The cop's intent was to save a life. Now, here is my issue. This police officer put 4 perfect shots, center mass, into Micaiah without hitting any of the other girls who were in close vicinity. One was at her feet. The other one was at the car, a knife stab away from her. Okay. Now I get it that center mass, especially on her figure, is a larger target, but I don't understand how shooting her 4 times in the legs wouldn't have prevented her from stabbing that girl either. She would have immediately dropped with 4 shots to the legs. I mean, if you think about the principle of he was trying to stop her, because he didn't say he was trying to stop her from stabbing the girl on the floor. He was trying to stop her from stabbing the girl on up against the car. Her arm had not come full swing yet to stabbing that girl against that car, which means that he didn't even have a clear shot of the chest. So from that logic, I'm still a little uncertain that this situation couldn't have been de-escalated by shooting her in the legs multiple times. And then the other side of it is her father was on scene, and her father was according to some of the articles that I read, was in the process of kicking the girl on the floor when the police officer arrived.
Okay, so that was the father that did that, because that's what I've been hearing.
Yes. So he also managed to not shoot the father, which means this man's aim was spectacular. So if his aim is that spectacular, so now think about the scene that is painted. We're talking about Micaiah in mid-swing to stab someone who's up against the car. Someone's laying at her foot. The father is at the person that's laying at her foot side about to kick her. This officer did not shoot her in the back, but through the chest from the front, fellas. That means that officer had spectacular shooting ability, which means he could have immobilized her without killing her, is my opinion. However,
that's crazy.
However,
like, did you hear? Like, how does an officer have that impeccable aim? Like, that's
my point. His aim was impeccable enough to shoot through 4 people who were in close vicinity of each other, to shoot the one that was wielding the knife. If his aim was impeccable enough to do that, his aim was impeccable enough to bring her down another way. However, the reason that I say that this officer does not deserve to be persecuted in the court is because keep in mind the scene he was arriving to. He's arriving to chaos. He sees a grown man kicking somebody on the floor, a girl wielding a knife, and let's be real, right? She did not look 16. You can't, I would not immediately deduce that she was 16 if it wasn't for the story circulating. I would have assumed that was a grown woman that was getting ready to stab that other woman. Actually, I didn't deduce that any of them were girls through the video. It's the articles and what we know about the story that we know they were teenage girls. But I just think overall what happened here is tragic. I do not think this is a case of a racist cop killing an unarmed Black person, or an armed one for that matter. I do not believe that race played a part in this particular situation. I think that cop showed up to a chaotic scene, saw someone getting ready to be stabbed, and shot to save that person's life, not knowing that person and 2 other people had tried to attack Micaiah. So she was actually defending herself. That's a stand your ground state.
Right, that's true. She was defending herself.
Stand your ground state. She had every right to defend herself. Absolutely. But again, the cop does not know the full situation, right? This is why, to E-Man's point earlier, and this is going to be my main point, if a fucking taser is not as effective as it should be, then why the fuck is it a part of their resources? What's the fucking point?
Yeah,
if a taser is inefficient, what's the point of it?
That's a good question. And like I said, I think those are more for like close proximity. I could be wrong. But they have
ones that shoot at a fairly decent range.
Right, and I agree with you. That's true.
I agree with you that it makes sense that they're probably more for close proximity. But like I've seen, like for instance, on the movie, and I know this is just a movie, right? I'm not saying obviously this is real life, but remember that scene in the first Hangover where the cops bring them in? I don't know if you two seen that, and they let the kids shoot the guys with the tasers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, they're in close proximity to a certain extent, but there's even some distance there. For me, it just felt like, or rubber bullets. If he had a shot her, is my understanding, and again, perhaps he didn't have the rubber bullet gun on him. I'm not saying that is the case, right? But my thing is, if the taser is not going to be an efficient method, because keep in mind, they use the taser on the VA military personnel.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
the
true.
VA military personnel. But here, his only choice was to shoot to kill. I feel like overall, the gist of the matter is there's too many ifs with this situation to completely fault the cop. What if this had happened this way? What if he could have done this? What if Micaiah wasn't actually outside, since she was the one that called the police, and her father had enough foresight to say, the police are on the way, baby. You stay in the house and I'll handle these bitches, if anything. Right? And I'm not blaming the father, but I'm saying his daughter was being attacked. She called the police. Maybe he didn't know she called the police. But at that point, once the police are engaged, all she needs to do is remain in a safe place until their arrival.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely. That's what it should have been. But
that's what should have happened. And
I agree.
Here is what I think should be a result of this. I think a proper investigation should be done. And if it is found that the police officer had no choice but to, because again, we didn't see the entire scenario. The only people that know for sure are the people in that scene. And an investigation should be done. And if the police officer is found to have acted justly, then that's what it is. I think that the girls who were jumping her, they need to be properly handled as well, because since when is it okay to assault someone? It was one thing if it was a one-on-one fight between him. They were trying to jump, according to certain articles read at first, that they were brought in on behalf of the foster mom of that house to jump her.
Good Lord.
So first of all, if that part is true, get her ass. Wow. Get her ass, because what you did, she is partially at fault for her death. The family need to sue that bitch for wrongful death. If she needs to be a conspirator to commit assault. I'm saying get her motherfucking ass if it was truly her who sent two girls to jump another one over washing dishes. That's the story. The story is that the foster mom commissioned the other two girls that were there to jump her, whether they lived there or not, to actually jump her because she was refusing to wash the dishes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Over dishes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you dishes. Got me all fucked up now.
Dishes, bro. That's what I'm saying. If any portion of that story is true, get her motherfucking ass. Not only does she need to be brought up on charges, but the family needs to sue her for wrongful death.
Go get that bitch.
Go get that money. It's not going to bring their daughter back, but still. The father also needs to step back on this one because, bro, I understand his emotions were probably running high, but once those police were called, especially in this climate, being Black people, Breonna Taylor is a clear example that police officers are just as violent towards Black women as they are Black men. Mm-hmm. Get your daughter to a safe situation, bro.
I need someone to go grab that girl's, like, her lace front needs to be, like, snatched. Like, no lie. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, someone needs to go get her lace front.
Situation.
Yeah. It's just really ridiculous and just
over dishes.
Yeah, just a real tragic situation all around. And, you know, like I said, I mean, there could be blame passed around all over. But, you know, unfortunately, it's not going to bring Kaya Bryant back to life. And what's done is done. But, you know, this will definitely be a time for some serious reflection and just, this is just a fucked up situation.
I'm all fucked up now. Like I'm
all over. I must have missed this over some stuff I was reading, but over dishes, yo, like, oh man, nothing not making sense. It seems like shit's not making sense anymore. Over dishes, though. Over dishes. At the end of this whole thing, someone lost their life over dishes.
Right. And then my other thing is, let's say that he was shooting to neutralize the threat, right? Which is very different than shooting to kill. Because I actually read up on an article that officers are not trained to shoot to kill. They are trained to neutralize the threat. So if that's the case, and that's why they aim for the center mass, right? So there is no technical shoot to kill order. That's not what they're taught. Okay, there is no law that says officers are trained to shoot to kill. Officers are trained to neutralize the threat, which is why they focus on center mass.
True.
So if that's the case, he could have shot her 2 times center mass and that would have brought her down. With the type of guns that police officers use, he could have shot her 2 times center mass and brought her down. The 4, it's the amount for me. It's the amount in that area for me that does. You mean to tell me that shooting her 4 times center mass was absolutely necessary? He could have shot her 2 times center mass and that would have sufficed.
Yeah. It was definitely excessive. 4 times, that's just too much. But really quick, just to clarify the whole shoot, they're trained to shoot to kill. So they're trained to shoot, not necessarily to kill, but like you said, neutralize the threat. But they do have the ability to exercise discretion. So even if, let's say, they're trained to shoot center mass, or just the mass area, which 9 times out of 10 is going to kill somebody, they could still exercise discretion. They could still make the decision to say, okay, well, instead of shooting a mass area that could most likely kill this person, let me shoot somewhere else that can just injure them instead. So across the board, no, they're not trained to just go out and shoot to kill people. No, that's not what that's not what they're trained to do. Exactly.
No, they're shoot to neutralize. So in this particular, the article that I found about this particular incident is from ABC News. And what it says is almost 6 years ago, an Ohio Public Safety Board developed a standard whereby officers must limit their use of deadly force to defending themselves or other from serious injury or death, which would apply here, right? He thought that the girl was going to be stabbed. However, this is where it gets interesting, is that these police officers are not trained to shoot and kill. The same article says officers aren't trained to shoot and kill, but to neutralize the threat, which is why they focus on center mass. So if that is the case, if it's not shoot to kill her, he didn't need 4 shots. He could have done that with 2. And who's to say that the 2 shots wouldn't have brought her down, but missed vital organs so she could still be alive today? That's my only issue with this situation. Not that he shot at all. He had to shoot. She was wielding a knife. He had to shoot. There's no question he had to shoot, because apparently, as you all have made clear, and as a lot of people have said, tasers aren't as efficient as we think they are, right? And I agree with that assessment. So I don't have any question in my mind he had to shoot. Do I think he had to shoot her 4 times? No. Not especially when you consider he shot through 3 other people that were in close vicinity to her.
That's what I'm saying.
He shot through 3 other people who were in close vicinity to her. That means he did not have to shoot her 4 times.
But he must be a good sharpshooter.
That's what I'm saying. If he could do that,
that's difficult.
If he could do that, then he could have shot her just 2 times in the chest to bring her down, or in the legs. Now, in all fairness, this article does say the scenario of an officer shooting an armed suspect in the leg is Hollywood stuff that doesn't happen in real life. I can see that. I can totally see that. I can see that. But the amount of times, and for this particular shooter who was able to shoot through those other 3 people that in her close vicinity, I'm concerned about the 4 shots. That's the part that bothers me. It's sad that she is gone. Yeah, it's sad that she is gone over dishes. It's sad that this incident occurred at all. The foster mom is wrong as hell and is an asshole. She put all of those girls into a situation that was complete. She needs to have her license to be a foster mom revoked. She needs to be brought up on charges, and she needs to be fucking sued.
It's very interesting. Just saying from that article, it said basically shooting him in the leg is a Hollywood theater. Like, you know, so now here comes the question. Hopefully everyone can like ball. So if Hollywood does that so much, then are you guys giving us a clue that officers are allowed to shoot to kill for a reason? Because if shooting them in the leg is a Hollywood thing and like, you know, that is unlikely for an officer to do, then that's basically telling me that officers are meant to shoot to kill. Just by it's, I'm not agreeing with I'm just basically taking that context of them saying like, well, shooting in the leg seems like it's a Hollywood thing to do. And because Hollywood hypes it up and police officers don't do it, I'm like, okay, cool. So if you're not going to shoot in the leg, so where else are you going to shoot them at? So I mean, that's telling me like, yo, officers are meant to shoot to kill. And I'm just using that context from what Nine Angel just went over to actually just not prove a point, but just have another like, you know, food for thought out there to like really think about like what's really going on right now. Because we already stated tasers don't work. So what's the next best thing? You know? And, you know, that's just something I want to just put out there for the listeners just to like, you know, get a chance to like reminisce on that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to wrap it up, fellas, I think this was definitely a tragic situation. I think PAT, I agree with you, you know, that as unfortunate as this situation is, I think the cop was dealt a very difficult situation and he made a decision based on what he saw before him. I do not think this particular situation was about race. I do not think this was about shooting a young Black girl. I think this was about saving the life of another, as unfortunate as it was.
Yeah.
So with that said, fellas, unless anyone has anything else, we'll go ahead and wrap up this session. It has definitely been a great one as always. And
I agree. This one was really, it took a whole lot of us. Yeah, it did.
Yes. Yes, it was. And to our listeners, we thank you so much for your support. We do this, you know, for you all. And we can't say enough how much we appreciate all the likes and the love and the messages. Please, please, please go on to that YouTube channel and subscribe if you have not already. Show us that love on the YouTube side.
Yeah, subscribe, like, share.
Yes.
Do all of it.
Yeah.
Please share those videos, subscribe, go on there and hit those likes. We got content coming out on a frequent basis throughout the week. And we always, as much as possible, like to keep our listeners up to date with our latest content. We share links based on our discussion topics. And of course, for those out there who like some quality rap, we have our residential rapper, Mr. PAT. Go ahead and spill that information about your page, sir.
Yes. Thank you for that compliment, by the way. And yes, thepatchannel.com. Go there. All my social media links are there. Click them, follow, like, subscribe. thepatchannel.com. That's where you need to go.
Absolutely. And follow up with those subscriptions to our YouTube. Thank you so much to all of our listeners. We appreciate you. And as always, until next time, peace.
Peace.
Peace.